The most important piece of physical evidence in the Commission's theory was Commission Exhibit 399, a bullet found on an unidentified stretcher at Parkland Hospital. Ballistically matched to the rifle found in the book depository, Commission Exhibit 399 was the only piece of evidence which could directly tie Oswald to the shooting. Since it could not possibly be the bullet that missed, nor the one which fragmented in the President's head, it was imperative to the Commission's case that 399 be the bullet that inflicted all of the non-fatal wounds. The near-perfect condition of Exhibit 399, however, presented a problem.
As of the time that bullet reached the FBI laboratory, Robert Fraser is the ballistics examiner who got it. It was almost perfect. It was slightly flattened at the end that is attached to the shell, the back end of the bullet. It wasn't flattened much, but it was flattened there. Fraser testified to its condition when he received it, when he was a witness before the Warren Commission. And I'm paraphrasing his testimony, but it is roughly this, that if that bullet had struck coarse cloth or leather, he would have expected to find microscopic marks on it, and there were no such microscopic marks. Now, I'm not trying to palm myself off as an FBI expert, but I was a soldier. I fired pistols, I fired rifles, I had my own, I fired them. When I was a young man, I used to shoot tin cans, pieces of wood, things like that. I have never seen a bullet hit anything without being marked up, and if it hits anything hard, it's going to be deformed in varying degrees. This bullet doesn't have a scratch on it.
The Commission's own witnesses were among the most dubious. Without exception, all of the Commission's medical experts agreed that bullet 399 could not possibly have caused all of the governor's wounds.
This bullet is too pristine for a bullet that had shattered a rib and also badly shattered the radius, which is a good, strong bone. I am sure that the bullet that inflicted these wounds on Governor Connally was fragmented much more than this bullet shows.
In April 1964, the Commission convened a panel of ballistic experts to perform tests to see if, in fact, it was possible for this bullet to cause so much damage and still remain in perfect condition. In these tests, bullets of the same type as 399 were fired into the chests of goats and through the wrists of human cadavers in order to simulate the governor's wounds. These bullets, however, were considerably deformed.
The bullets that were fired through the goat carcasses, different goats breaking just one rib, all showed significant deformity. The bullets that were fired through the wrist of human cadavers showed much more deformity. They had the typical peeling back, mushrooming effect that you see when bullets impact against dense, firm objects. And yet, Commission Exhibit 399, which according to the Warren Commission is the missile that broke both the rib and the wrist bone of Governor Connally, is, as I have already explained, essentially pristine.
No, it could not have caused all the wounds, because our experiments have showed beyond any doubt that merely shooting the wrist deformed the bullet drastically. And yet this bullet came out as almost a perfectly normal, pristine bullet.
Dr. Joseph Dolce was the chief consultant in wound ballistics for the U.S. Army, who supervised these tests for the Warren Commission.
And so they gave us the original rifle, the Mannlicher Carcano, plus 100 bullets, 6.5 millimeters. And we went and we shot the cadaver wrist, as I've just mentioned, and in every instance, the front or the tip of the bullet was smashed. It's impossible for a bullet to strike a bone, even at low velocity, and still come with a perfectly normal tip. The tip of this bullet was absolutely not deformed in no instance whatsoever, in no amount. Under no circumstances do I feel that this bullet could hit the wrist and still not be deformed. We proved that by experiments.
The undamaged condition of bullet 399 presented the Commission with still another dilemma. While 399 appeared to be completely intact, the bullet which struck Governor Connally left fragments of metal in all 3 of the governor's wounds.
The bullet left identifiable pieces of itself radiologically. That is, you can see them on x-rays in Kennedy's chest, in Connolly's chest, Connolly's wrist, and Connolly's thigh. So we've got 4 anatomic locations in these 2 men where pieces of the bullet, albeit quite small, but visible to the naked eye without any special enhancement photographic techniques, can be seen. There's no way that all those pieces could have come from the bullet, and yet had the bullet lose only 1 to 1.5% of its total weight, which is exactly what it was found to have lost. The bullet, as found, weighed 158.6 grains. In its pristine state, it weighs no more than 161 grains.
The conclusive evidence, which completely destroys the Commission's theory, is the fact that more grains of metal were recovered from Governor Connolly's wrist wound alone than could have possibly come from Commission Exhibit 399.
You begin to understand why most of us call this the magic bullet and the magic bullet theory. It's just unbelievable that they could get away with it. It's almost as unbelievable that they would dare try. Of course, they worked in secrecy, so nobody knew what happened until after the report was out.
My colleagues in forensic pathology, who were members of the panel on which I served, when confronted with this, they say, well, bullets do strange things. That's an exact quote. I'll never forget it till the day I die. Bullets do strange things. I've said to them, well, you guys collectively have done together 150,000 medical legal autopsies, and several thousand, 10, 20 of those, 30, 40 have involved bullet wounds. Why don't you all go back to your files and come up with one case, or why don't you all go out and do an experiment and come in with one bullet that will do what 399 is to have done, is alleged to have done under the single bullet theory, and you'll prove your case. Well, there never was such a case file presented. There never was such an experiment conducted. There never again, and never was in the past, in the history of gunfire in civilization, a bullet that did what this bullet is supposed to have done under the single bullet theory. That is the foundation of the whole report. And once you remove that keystone, then the whole thing collapses.
It was for this reason alone that the Commission ultimately accepted 399 as their single bullet. They had no other choice. For while they could ignore the governor's doctors, the ballistics experts, and even their own bullet tests, there was one fact which the Commission could not ignore. Without 399, there could be no single bullet theory. And without this theory, there could not be a lone assassin.